Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. We're gonna watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie.
If you grew up watching Disney Channel like myself in the 2000s, then you definitely remember watching all of the classic DCOMs over the years. Since the late 90s, the Disney Channel original movies, or DCOMs for short, have served as a major force in children's entertainment on cable television across the span of many decades. Y'all, these movies literally raised us growing up, teaching us so many valuable life lessons about family, peer pressure, self-confidence, and the overall importance of friendship. Y'all, so I just remember being a kid in the 2000s and watching the Disney Channel movies back in the day whenever they would premiere. It was just such a big deal, you know? I just remember the movies. I remember the movies just premiering at 8/7 Central every Friday night. A new movie would air, you know, Friday nights, 8/7 Central. It was just such a big deal. You had to be there. And then when you come to school the next day on Monday, everybody would be talking about the movie, their favorite parts of the movie. You know, I mean, I'm showing my age here, but I remember when the Even Stevens movie premiered and when High School Musical premiered and, you know, the Cheetah Girls and all of those iconic movies, talking about it at school with your friends on Monday after the premiere on Friday nights. It was literally just such a moment in time, you know, and this generation of kids, they're so lucky and blessed. I mean, they literally have the movies premiere on Disney Plus now, and they can watch it and rewind it as much times as they want to. While I was editing and researching this video, Disney Channel actually premiered a new movie recently, and then the next day the movie premiered on Disney Plus, so it just kind of defeats the purpose. I just miss that era when the movies would premiere at 8/7 Central on Disney Channel, and then you would just watch it and talk about it with your friends the next day. It was just such a moment, but you know, what do I know? Who am I? I'm just some guy on the internet. So the first official DCOM premiered around Halloween in 1997 and was called Under Wraps. Since 1997, Disney Channel has produced around 125 films with a wide variety of genres, from sports movies to musicals to sci-fi thrillers, fantasy adventures, and everything else in between. Some of these movies have actually held up really well over the years, while some have kind of aged like milk.
She's really good.
So I thought it'd be fun to make a video ranking what I feel like are the top 25 iconic DCOMs, worst to best in my opinion. I'll be taking a look back at all of the DCOMs that got the most views, the highest ratings, and the ones that just have had the biggest impact on people over the years. For this list though, I won't be looking at films like the Lizzie McGuire movie, Hannah Montana the movie, or High School Musical 3 Senior Year for the fact just because those were theatrical releases. Let's get into the list. So before we get into the list, I wanted to talk about some honorable mentions that I felt worth mentioning. So the Cheetah Girls 3, One World. This movie was okay. I mean, the plot was kind of generic. The music was fine. Let's keep it real. This movie is only on this list only because Raven's not here. Stuck in the Suburbs, another 2000s movie that I actually forgot about, but it was okay. Nothing too memorable about this movie. Brenda Song was in it before Sweet Life, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I completely forgot about Princess Protection Program, but it was really cool to see Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato together in a Disney Channel movie. I mean, come on now, we all knew this was gonna happen. Ooh, the Even Stevens movie, yes. I remember liking this movie as a kid. I think I watched it when it premiered. It's just a pretty wacky family comedy. Nothing really too memorable or great, but I really enjoyed it as a kid, so I added it on the honorable mentions list, so there's that. I also wanted to add The Color of Friendship to this list because I feel like that movie just teaches such a great and valuable lesson about just racism and seeing each other as equal. It's just not an iconic Disney Channel movie, unfortunately. Now onto the real list. So coming in last place we have Descendants 2, and this movie, I don't know what to really say. I don't really like the Descendants franchise that much. I think they're all pretty stupid and pretty ugly to look at, but that's neither here nor there. I feel like the sequel is just the worst one. It just has like a really dumb plot that contradicts the original. You got Mal, who wanted to go back to the Isle because she missed being evil all of a sudden and hates the pressure of being a good person. And this movie is just full of bad songs, annoying side characters, and then we also have the forced relationship between the two main lead characters, Ben and Mao. And I just hate it. It's just so forced. Everything about their relationship just feels so forced just because they needed a character to fall in love. And the fact that he becomes the prince, or he's trying to become the prince, is really dumb because his parents are still pretty young and able to run the kingdom. Just really dumb. Also in this movie, there's also the villain kids that are mad at Mal for leaving them behind on the Isle of the Lost, which is pretty understandable. It's just... this movie just sucks. Uma was a pretty cool and decent villain. I mean, her intentions for hating Mal made sense. And then there's this ending with the terrible CGI fight at the end of the movie. It's just so bad and off-putting. Like, come on, Disney. Like, you could have done better with the budget. And then, yay, the movie ends with everybody being friends because Disney Channel and the power of friendship. It's just lame, and I just can't stand this movie. Next. Yeah, this movie kind of missed the mark for me as a kid growing up. It's really clear that Disney Channel was trying to make another High School Musical with this movie, and it just failed miserably. The songs aren't that good, the characters aren't that memorable, the dance numbers aren't that great. It's just, This movie just is so bad. And it has a lot of cringe moments. I mean, all of them have cringe moments because they're Disney Channel movies, but this one especially.
She's really good.
And it's pretty obvious they tried to make Tess the new Sharpay, and she's the knockoff version of Sharpay in my opinion. She's not as memorable, she's not as witty or fun or even talented. And then you have the Jonas Brothers in this movie who don't really serve a purpose but just to help promote the movie and get kids at home to watch it. They're not the best at acting.
I don't want to waste my summer at some camp. I'm Shane Gray, for crying out loud. Hey man, we used to love this place. 3 years ago, we were campers. Yeah man, this is where Connect 3 connected.
I don't know, I just feel like this movie is just really cringe with some really bad writing, bad characters, generic plot. Another thing that I actually don't like about this movie is that I feel like, you know, it's a summer camp, but they don't dress like they're at a summer camp, which is really weird to me. They're all wearing, you know, long sleeves and hoodies and layers. It's like, where's the shorts? You know, y'all are at a summer camp, but, you know, we're just gonna move on to the next because I don't really have anything else to say or add on to this movie. So Camp Rock 2 honestly might be just as bad as the first one. It's a little better than the first one, it's a clear step up, it's just not that good of a movie overall. I mean, don't get me wrong, the sequel definitely has some better songs and some better choreography than the original. It's just an okay movie, you know? I feel like this movie is way too long, and even the scenes with the Jonas Brothers, they just drag, you know, so long. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like the Jonas Brothers, their plots were just so long and just, they dragged for way too long in this movie. Like Joe's character trying to spend time with Mitchie the whole summer. And then you have Nick's character who's trying to sneak across the lake to some girl at the opposite camp, and it's just so boring, long, and repetitive. Yeah, Camp Rock 2, it's not that good of a movie to me. Here we have The Descendants. Yeah, this is another one of those movies that they're pretty clearly trying to recreate High School Musical, and again, it just fails. Like, the songs aren't that great or memorable. The characters, I guess, are kind of memorable, but like, I just hate the Descendants movies. I hate the characters' names. You have Mal, who's the daughter of Maleficent, or Evie, the daughter of Evil Queen. Like, the names are just too obvious, you know, too on the nose. Lonnie, that's Mulan's daughter. I hate it. I hate the plot. I hate the bright colors. I hate the wigs. I hate the costumes. The relationships just feel forced between some of the love interests. I just hate it. But on a good note, I will say that the idea is kind of there. It just feels weird to have all of the Disney characters exist at the same time. And the choreography is pretty good in every scene, so I'll give them that. It's just, I just don't like this movie, and I wanted to like it, but you know, I wanted to like this movie for what it is. It's a guilty pleasure. It's just not as memorable or great as High School Musical or Cheetah Girls. So next on the list we have Zombies, which is actually a newer movie. And this movie... Okay, when I first saw the trailer for this, I just thought this looked stupid and just atrocious and hideous to look at. I mean, what are these colors? And you know what? This movie, it's not that bad. I don't think it's the worst Disney Channel movie, but I don't think it's nowhere near the best. We just have a bunch of generic characters, like we have a mean bully, the annoying little sister, the dumb jock, a preppy white girl, token black character. I do like Zed though, however. I feel like he's a really good character and honestly is the best character in the entire franchise. But yeah, I hate the bright colors, I hate the generic set designs, I hate the music in this movie. They use a lot of autotune actually. But on a good note, I think the choreography was actually very well done in this movie. There are some funny moments here and there. And I do like the message, you know, the clear and obvious portrayal of racism, classism, and segregation in a kid's movie. I just feel like it just wasn't executed the best. This movie also kind of low-key suffers from a white savior complex, so yeah, I don't know. It's just an okay Disney Channel movie. But I do like it more than the Descendants franchise. So this was an okay movie to me in my opinion. I actually liked the characters, the plot was okay, it was just, It
was supposed to give, but it did not give what needed to be gave to the highest of giving, if that makes any sense.
You know, I don't know, I just felt like this movie, it had potential to be better. Like, it's entertaining, it has some funny moments here and there. It's just, I just feel like the movie drags on longer than it needs to, and I think the movie also has a great message about just peer pressure and just fitting in with others. It's just a boring movie, you know? To me, it just feels like a forgettable DCOM, that's all. Just decent, nothing too special about it, but you know, it exists. You know, most boys when they turn 13, they go through something called puberty. And this boy, when he turns 13, he turns into a fish, which is actually ridiculous to me, but really funny. Yeah, this is definitely one of those classic DCOMs from the late 90s. It just screams late 90s, early 2000s by just the crazy graphics and the crazy plots. But you know what? It's an enjoyable movie, even though some of the characters are a little forgettable. I like the main character. I think he held his own. Everybody else was okay. But yes, you can definitely tell this is definitely an old Disney Channel movie from back in the day because, you know, the simple story, it just feels like a classic DCOM, you know? Okay, but does anybody remember this movie? As a kid, I actually really liked this movie a lot. I thought it was fun, I thought it was enjoyable. I mean, you can definitely tell this movie came out in 1999 by just the weird CGI and just the references to pop culture like boy bands and stuff. And some of the writing in this movie is a bit cringe, but aren't they all cringe because they're Disney Channel movies? But yeah, Smart House is a fun movie. I liked it, it was fun. Just not the best Disney Channel movie to exist. So this movie is actually kind of weird, but I kind of like it for what it is. I like that the movie was fast-paced, it's fun, it has some funny moments, and it's very energetic. Plus, Brenda Song did what she had to do with this movie. I like Brenda Song growing up. She's just so funny and witty in every character that she plays on Disney Channel. I also thought that the fight scenes in this movie were very well done and well executed, well choreographed. It was really cool. But I don't know, I feel like this movie just suffered from a generic cliche storyline with generic characters and some harmful Asian stereotypes which aren't good. But overall, a fun Disney Channel movie, just not my favorite or the best. So I remember this movie being on Disney Channel all the time growing up, and the concept of it is fine, I guess. It's a decent DCOM, just not my favorite. I think this was the first DCOM to feature some actors from some current popular shows on Disney Channel, so that's pretty cool, pretty much paving the way for the future of Disney Channel, using their stars to be on their shows. And this movie does have some funny and interesting moments here and there. It's just an okay storyline, I guess. Like, for example, it just didn't really make sense why she was forced to go to the military school. I mean, I get that her stepdad was the president or the dean or whatever, but it just didn't make sense for her to go there. Yeah, it's an okay Disney Channel movie. Just not the best, not my favorite, but it's definitely memorable and iconic. So this was one of those Disney Channel Halloween movies that would always come on around Halloween time every year. I mean, it's definitely okay. I mean, it was fun. It has some funny moments. It's quirky. It's a nice duo mystery comedy. And the movie does have some cool visual effects here and there. Let's be honest, we all just watched this because Tia and Tamara were in it, and they're iconic, so that's that. Also, who did Disney Channel think they were fooling? I mean, the plot is similar to the first episode of Sister Sister. You know, that scene where they meet each other at the mall after all these years after being separated from birth? Yeah, they thought they were slick with that one, but nonetheless, it was still a fun and enjoyable movie, just not my favorite, but still good. So here we have Allie and AJ in a Disney Channel movie, finally after all these years, and honestly, I think I've only seen this movie maybe like once or twice. Yeah, it wasn't a movie that caught my eye when it first came out. I thought it was just okay, but rewatching it, it's actually pretty good and holds up pretty well. So it's pretty clear here that Disney Channel was trying to replicate that show, The Simple Life, back on MTV. You know the one I'm talking about, the show with Paris Hilton and the other girl. Spoiled rich girls who have to work regular jobs. I thought it was really cool that Disney Channel made a movie similar to that, showing kids working regular jobs and just learning about the personal responsibility and the growth that comes with it. I really like Let It Shine, you know, not my favorite Disney Channel movie, but definitely an enjoyable one. I think the cast is also really great. So in this movie, we have everybody like Tyler James Williams, Brandon Michael Smith, and a young Coco Jones. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I like the music. I think the rapping was pretty good. I think Coco Jones's singing was obviously really good. Yeah, just an overall really fun and memorable Disney Channel movie. Even if it is a bit cringe here and there with some of the dialogue and some of the raps. Okay, so I have a quick confession to make about this movie. I actually like this movie a lot more than I like the Camp Rock and the Descendants series. Okay, so hear me out. Is it cringe? Yes. Is it weird? Of course. Is it over the top? Yeah, we know. It's all of these things because it's a Disney Channel movie. But I feel like this movie is just very self-aware that it's over the top and silly and ridiculous, and it clearly has a lot of fun with it. It's almost as if Grease and West Side Story had a baby. That would be Teen Beach Movie. Just fun nonsense. I just think this is a really fun movie. I think the dancing is cool. I think the songs are pretty good and catchy. It's just a fun time. Now, I know some people might find the Cheetah Girls franchise to be annoying, loud, obnoxious, you get the picture. But to me, I find the Cheetah Girls to be very charming and cute. I love the music, I love the costumes, it just screams early 2000s, but I just love it. I also really like how this movie showcased different girls of color, as well as showing their economic backgrounds, like some of them are wealthy and well off, some are middle class, and then, you know, Dorinda, who's later revealed to be a foster child, you know, she's low class. I just love that. I love how realistic this movie feels, even though it can be a little bit cringe here and there. I also love the themes of this movie of just no matter where you come from, you can be successful, and just friendship and just being kind to one another and standing up for yourself and what you believe in. Oh, and those tracksuits they wore at the end of the movie, just iconic. Hey friends, it's me again. Sorry for the commercial break, but I just thought I'd come back just to say hi. Yes, I know what some of y'all are thinking, you know, movies like Camp Rock and The Descendants, and maybe even the first Cheetah Girls. Some of y'all are probably mad at me right now that they're not in the top 10.
Some of y'all about to be real mad at me, but it must be said.
But let me tell you, this top 10, I think it's the definitive top 10 list of the best DCOMs. Alright y'all, enough of the chit chat, but here we go. Here is my top 10 list of the best Disney Channel original movies. So this was a movie that I actually never saw growing up until now, rewatching it just for the sake of this list. And at the time, I just thought it was a dumb, typical, generic skateboard movie, which it somewhat is, but I actually really like this movie. I feel like this movie is cool, like some of the skateboarding tricks that they use. I also really like how simple and realistic the characters and the setting and the story just felt. The movie just doesn't feel like it's trying to be seen like other movies that we've talked about on this list. It's pretty cool. My only thing about this movie, I just feel like it drags and it takes so long to get to the main plot. But overall, a pretty enjoyable Disney Channel movie from way back in the day. Y'all, I completely forgot about Xenon. This movie is a whole bop. I love how crazy it looks. Like, I just love the Y2K fashion, the hair, the bright colors. Even the set designs, as cheap and basic as they look, it's still a fun movie. You can definitely tell this movie came out in the late 90s, early 2000s by just the aesthetic, the fashion, the hair, the bright colors. I think the story and some of the CGI in this movie is just kind of, a little dated, but it's a fun movie. Yeah, Xenon is definitely one of the most fun Disney Channel movies. It's just fun, every frame, all of the characters, there's high stakes. I love it. I even love her crazy catchphrase, Zetus Lapidus, which sounds like never mind.
Cetus Lapidus! Cetus Lapidus! Cetus Lapidus! Cetus Lapidus! Cetus Lapidus! Cetus Lapidus!
I feel like this is one of those movies where the writers and everybody on board just thought this was what the future was gonna look like. Here we have yet another Disney Channel classic. I mean, this movie is just iconic. It's a classic. Has it held up? I'd say yes and no. Yes, because it's an old Disney Channel classic that just can't be touched. They used to play this movie every year around Halloween time. And I say no, it doesn't hold up as much because, the story is just kind of basic. The kids run away to Halloween Town. And literally all of the characters are supposed to be, like goblins and gremlins and ogres and witches. And they're literally all wearing masks that look like they came from Party City. Yeah, you can definitely tell this was a classic old Disney Channel movie, one of the first, because you can tell they had a budget here. But besides all of those critiques, it's still a fun movie to watch every Halloween time, every year. So if I'm being honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of Wizards of Waverly Place growing up, but I did find the movie to be really entertaining. I was actually quite surprised with this one. It was actually kind of fun and interesting. A lot of the characters really had good chemistry, especially Alex and her brother. So in this movie, the Russos go on a family vacation, a magic-free vacation at that. And you guessed it, Alex and the other kids use magic, and guess what? She wishes that her parents didn't meet. Which actually happens. Now, I know it's just a movie and obviously they have to go on this long, crazy journey, adventure to make sure that their parents meet again so that they can be born and undo the spell and yada yada yada. But honestly, if Alex was that mad at her parents, she could have just wished for her to use magic whenever she wanted. But I digress, I'm not a screenplay writer. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie, especially for a movie that came out in 2009. Some of the visual effects and graphics actually look really good. Like I said earlier, the chemistry between Alex and Justin was just so good in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it was gonna be dumb, I thought it was gonna be annoying, but I was gladly surprised. I actually really like Lemonade Mouth. The main characters are actually really likable and felt very realistic, and the music just bangs. Like, for example, the Determinate song, what a banger. That song is just gets you hyped, it gets you in the mood, it's inspiring, it's fun, it's catchy, the rap is great, like that song goes hard for no reason. I also really liked how the characters in this movie had really good backstories, like feeling abandonment or just being ignored by their parents or high expectations by their parents. It's just a good movie. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this movie. I think the plot is okay, but the movie is good overall. It has a good message and the music is really good, so yeah, there's that on that. Y'all, when High School Musical 2 dropped, this was an event. This movie was hyped up so much after the success of the first one, and let me tell you, High School Musical 2 blew it out of the water. They did what needed to be done with this film. This movie ended up being the most watched, the highest premiere ever on Disney Channel, which is crazy, like 17.5 million viewers. High School Musical 2 has one of the best soundtracks Disney Channel has ever had. I mean, all of the songs were just bangers from start to finish. And this movie is also very saturated, like really bright. Like Zac Efron's eyes are extra blue for some reason and Sharpay's hair is extra blonde. I also really just like the summer aesthetic of this film, like everything from the swimming pool to just where they worked. It was just so cool and it made me want to work at Lava Springs. Now, with all that being said, I actually think the plot to this movie sucks, but it makes up for it because the soundtrack is a banger and just the whole movie is just so fun and makes you want to it just makes you feel so nostalgic. So this is another classic DCOM that I actually never saw as a kid. I never saw this movie growing up, but I just watched it recently for the first time a couple months ago when making this video, and let me tell y'all, this movie is just amazing. I really enjoyed Johnny Tsunami, like everything from it was just so good. I love the acting, I love the characters, I love the setting. This is just a perfect DCOM in my opinion. Another thing that I love about this movie, I just love how realistic everything feels, from the characters to the settings and just the way they speak to each other. Man, and that Johnny Tsunami, the actor who played him, is just so charming and funny, and his comedic timing and everything is just there. Disney Channel definitely dropped the ball with him because he definitely should have had more success on the channel throughout the 2000s, like maybe a Johnny Tsunami show or like a spin-off. Maybe just other movies on Disney Channel, you know, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's just great and definitely a classic DCOM that's worth watching. So this definitely has to be the most popular and impactful DCOM to ever exist. It literally changed the Disney Channel forever and the landscape of teen musicals and teen movies and teen shows. Yeah, High School Musical was that movie, I'm not gonna lie. Even if the plot is
But the storyline for me has run stale.
kind of dull here and there with some filler, but the movie makes up for it, you know. It's definitely iconic. Like, all of the songs are just so memorable. Get your head in the game, breaking free, we're all in this together, just bangers. I also love the message of this movie, teaching kids to just be themselves and teaching kids to try something new and not stick to the status quo. No pun intended. Do I think High School Musical is the best Disney Channel movie? Absolutely not. But I think it's one of the most impactful and just iconic Disney Channel movies. Everybody knows this, even if you hate it. Like, it's just so popular. Everybody knows High School Musical, and it is a certified banger, a certified classic. So I think everybody would agree to this. This has to be hands down the best Cheetah Girls movie to ever exist. I love the location. It was just so beautiful that they filmed this movie in Barcelona, Spain. Just so beautiful. I love the cinematography. The choreography was great in every dance number they did. And honestly, this has to be one of the best Disney Channel soundtracks to ever exist. I mean, every song was just so good. Amigas Cheetahs, Strut, like, just good songs. Literally no skips in my opinion. Yeah, Cheetah Girls 2 is just a really good movie. I like it a lot. I think it's one of the best DCOMs to ever exist. It's just so fun. It's nostalgic. It's hip. It's cool. It's urban.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I actually hate that word urban, but you know what I mean. It's just a fun Disney Channel movie. Okay, so hot take, but I think Jump In just has to be the best Disney Channel movie in my opinion. It's my favorite DCOM. I've always loved this movie.
You what?
It shows a young Corbin Bleu and a young Keke Palmer both in this movie. Just iconic. The storyline is a little similar to High School Musical in the terms of just, you know, following your dreams and being yourself and that kind of thing, going against the societal norms. But yeah, this was just a really good Disney Channel movie, you know? Like, I loved seeing all of the black characters. I thought it was creative, I thought it was fun, I thought it was emotional. It had some really good choreography, especially with the double dutch scenes. Like, it was just a really cool movie. Yeah, this movie is Black Boy Joy, you know? I love how Izzy, you know, he's the main character played by Corbin Bleu. I love how he just found a new interest in double dutch. But, you know, he still liked boxing, not as much, but he was scared to tell his dad because that's what his dad wanted him to do ever since their mom passed away. And, you know, this movie does fall under that whole trope of the, it's not my dream, Dad, this is your dream, which we see in a lot of teen movies, especially on Disney Channel, but I digress. I also thought it was really cool how the bully realized that he was the problem and that he's actually really insecure and jealous. Like, this movie just handled all of that so well, you know? So yeah, I think Jump In is just a really good Disney Channel movie. It's definitely my favorite DCOM out of all of the ones that we went over. So yeah, Disney Channel put out so many different original movies over the years, from the late 90s throughout the 2000s through the 2010s to now, and they don't seem like stopping anytime soon, unless Disney Plus kind of stops them because, you know, nobody watches cable anymore. I had so much fun going down this list and making this list, looking back at the movies. Some have aged really well and are still really entertaining today, while some have aged like milk, like I said earlier. Yeah, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that I hit the mark? Do y'all think that my list was good? What were your favorite Disney Channel movies? And what would your top 5 look like? What would you say was the worst? And what would you say are the best? Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please leave a like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more fun videos just like this. See ya!